Are Chelsea balling on a budget? We going after frees and getting some deals, or do we actually have money to spend? That is what we're here to figure out. All right, here we go. I wanted to break down some of the news that's been coming out probably over the last week now, but we have to figure out kind of what is going to be the approach. We just dropped Keep, Sell, Loan parts 1 and 2 last week on audio and YouTube. If you haven't checked them out, go do it. And the big thing that came out of that is how many players are Chelsea going to sign? How many players can Chelsea sign? What is this summer's transfer window during Euros, during Copa America, during a U.S. summer tour really going to look like? And I think the first place to start is The Athletic, talking about Premier League fails with attempt to close financial fair play loophole. Long story short, this will let clubs use one-off profits from the sales of hotels, training grounds, or other tangible assets in their FFP submissions. So as we look at this, the hotel signing at Chelsea, great. They played around some ideas at Cobham. Long story short, this is still an option for the club. But the overall talking point right here is the big headline that came out. This says Chelsea will not need to sell Premier League players this month to comply with PSR. Why is that important? There was a lot of concern we're going to have a fire sale in June because remember, the new fiscal year starts in July. So sounds like we've got some time. It is not the worst situation in the world, so we can go ahead and breathe easy as Chelsea fans. So now we want to look at like, okay, well, how many players are going to come in? Right? Or in general, like, what do we want to look at? And so what I did is I pulled up this tweet from Ben Jacobs, good friend of the pod, just heard him on very recently, and he wanted to talk about the accounts. Now, TLDR here, we had a significant spend, but the biggest difference from us is that we sold really well, 203 million. So we're in a good spot. But the thing is, that's just for now. You miss Europe again, things could start to get very tight moving forward. And so this is why we need to get it figured out. So at the end of this tweet, he really, really sums it up by saying the key is how 2023-2024 affects the club. Okay, can we get into Europe, a higher European league? Can we get back to Champions League? Can we sell some front of shirt sponsors and sleeve sponsorships? Right? Can we get the commercial engine running? Otherwise, you're really looking at 3 to 4 signings this summer. That's it, right? We know all of the numbers that Chelsea have spent in terms of like the £1 billion bottle jobs, right? Bowley's £1 billion bottle jobs and things like that. But 3 to 4 players is really all we're looking at as it stands right now. And we know that we've already signed Estevao. CFC Central Sam is going to be jumping in on that one. So there's 35 million. On the other way, Ben Jacobs is saying that Everton want to pick up Broya, which would be great. I mean, 30 million, I think you do this in an instant win-win. But then it's kind of like, okay, where will Chelsea go? Todobayo coming in on a free. I wonder if we're going to have to be really clever this summer. You know, it's easy for Winstanley and Stewart to go buy 100-pound players, 60 million, 70 million, 80 million pound players. But what can they do when the purse strings are tight? I think we're going to find out a lot about this ownership group and these co-sporting directors and what they can do, because they've largely been able to buy anybody and everybody they wanted, right? Moises Caicedo, bidding war, right? Romeo Lavia, bidding war. Even think back to Mudryk, bidding war with Arsenal. There's a lot in here that the sporting directors largely have avoided in terms of a challenging transfer window. So I'm really interested to see, how do they manage this, right? How do they deal with a tight budget? And are they going to be able to pick up some shrewd signings? You know, you look at Sesko and some of the other players. I mean, 3 to 4, I think, is where I would imagine. But then what about our new manager? Is he going to force us to have to get 6, 7 new players? Or did he come in saying, hey, I can work with the squad we have? I think that has to be a huge calculation. If we keep turning 6, 7 players over every season, I mean, we're never going to get any kind of consistency or identity within this club. So I think that is something that we have to look at and try to figure out, because the transfer business that this group has done in the past 2 seasons is largely unmatched, right? Obviously, Manchester City have no problem spending big. I think Manchester United always have no problem spending big, but they've got the commercial side to back it. Chelsea don't right now. Chelsea don't have as big of a stadium. We don't have a large front of shirt sponsor. We don't have a large sleeve sponsor. We have a great kit deal with Nike, right? The manufacturer's deal, that is up there. That is great, but it's not really been there, unfortunately. So with the amount of spending we've done last few seasons, we really just have to figure out what the approach is going to be. And I think my biggest concern, honestly, in the approach is going to be something that we saw last season, and I think it's going to continue to this season. So this is just one of those things that just pains me. But hey, if David Ornstein is saying it, then it's got to have potential here. Aston Villa are holding preliminary talks with Chelsea over a move for Conor Gallagher, as you can see here, wearing the captain's armband. I think these co-sporting directors are going to take any chance they can. If Enzo Maresca is unsure at any point that Conor Gallagher will be perfect for a system, which is, if you've listened to the tactical preview pod from Sam that we did, he thinks that Conor might not be a perfect match for this new formation, the new playing style. I think the sporting directors will take that and run instantly. I think they are looking for an excuse to cash in on Conor because they can get 50 million, 55. Like, they're quick on Mason Mount to take that pure profit. And I think it's because these sporting directors want to be responsible for the squad. They want to build the squad, which kind of like reminds me, how do we not look internally at the players we have as targets, as transfer targets? It seems like we only look externally. Lewis Hall went to Newcastle, right? Last season, Mason Mount obviously left. Now we're looking at Connor, and Trevo is leaving. I mean, these are the most obvious exits when there's other players that are probably way more realistic or should be moved first. But since they had a transfer fee and they have wages that you have to amortize, we're not able to move them as easily. So we're just shipping off the Cobham players because, again, it's pure profit on the books. But yet you're going to have to go buy a replacement that is going to cost as much in wages and a transfer fee. I don't get it. It just seems like these co-sporting directors want to be 100% accountable, or not accountable, but like they want to take 100% credit for every single player that's here. And it seems like the players that they didn't recruit, they are quick to move on if there's any chance that they have. And that's something that we have to look at and just kind of be concerned about, at least from my perspective. Right. So if you look through the roster, Benoit did not have a good season, but we're talking about Trevo, who stepped up great once he got healthy. We'll see what they do with West Fofana, right? We'll see what happens with Chilwell. Enzo was theirs. Leslie's theirs. Carnes is theirs. Connor isn't, looking at being sold. Caicedo's theirs. Cassidy, Lavia's theirs. Sterling kind of was, I'd say. Mudryk, Madueke is. Jackson and Kunku. Palmer, technically not, but he's here. David Washington and Diego Moreira. So I think it's interesting who is being looked to be moved right away versus the others, and it's just an unfortunate situation that we have. I hope that the group kind of figure out their balance and that they can look at what Neil Bath has done, which is unmatched in the history of academy football, the amount of professionals that he has put out there. And we just tend to gloss it over. It's going to be a tough summer, no matter how you splice it. Chelsea don't have tons of cash to splash on 100 million players. Ben Jacobs broke it down, 3 to 4 players, and they're going to be gambling a little bit. If we bring in one big player, that is going to put so much more pressure on the club to get into the Champions League next season, because we're going to now be chasing PSR to make sure we can get the revenue in the future to pay for what we spent now. So look, I think we're going to learn a lot about this ownership group. I think we're going to learn a lot about these co-sporting directors even more so this summer, because I think we're going to have to be tight on the purse strings. I think we have to be shrewd in our signings and be strategic. Let's see if they can do it. They haven't had to do it yet. This is going to be a new summer for them, a new challenge, and nothing's going to happen until after the international tournaments, I don't think. So, look, there's still a lot of people that need to be moved out the books, especially Romelu Lukaku, Kepa coming back. There is a lot going on this summer, so we'll see how they handle it. But look, we got one signing down, 3, 2 more. I don't think it's going to be a big summer, Chelsea fans. Let me know in the comments, though. If we've only got 3 more signings, who does it need to be? Tell me the position, tell me the names. I need to know because I'm looking around the top 5 leagues. I'm gonna be watching the Euros trying to figure out who is gonna be the best player to fit in. It's gonna be interesting. Anyways, until next time, Chelsea fans, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high.